Come to DSW for the shoes, stay for the fun. Because, let's be honest, if shoe shopping isn't fun, are you even doing it right? So go ahead, try something new. Try something different. Good different. Try something that feels like you. You know, the real you. And then definitely brag about it later. Because at DSW, you've got unlimited freedom to play. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or at DSW.com. Let us surprise you.
A week shy of what would have been minor league opening day in the 2020 season. We welcome you into this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast from MILB.com, talking all things minor league baseball as the world turns, sort of. Hi, I'm Tyler Mott. Sam Dykstra is in New York City. Hi, Sam.
Hi, it is still turning. I can confirm that. The sun rises and sets every evening. So I don't know. The way I was talking to a friend about this the other day, and as weird as it's been for us all to be in our homes and doing everything responsibly and all that, and wondering when baseball does come back, every day that passes is another day closer to when baseball does return. So that's the kind of mindset I'm taking these days. We don't know when that'll be, but we know tomorrow is one day closer no matter what. So there is that.
That is a good way to look at it. And hi to all of you. I'm sure you are just as exasperated and tired and all of that as we are. But hopefully the show will get you through an hour or so of your day. And that's that's an hour closer to everything being somewhat normal. And we will have a handful of conversations today. Benjamin, he'll finally watch The Sandlot. We will get to it. I know you're all eagerly awaiting, despite the fact that we recorded the interview. I teased at the beginning, and then after we got talking about the things that we were scheduled to talk about, I was like, all right, Benjamin Hill's on Twitter. And then Sam was like, no, we have to talk about the thing that we're excited to talk about because my brain no longer functions. But one thing that went up on the site this week that I want to direct all of you to, if you're dreaming of good days with baseball ahead, one of my favorite pieces that we as a staff have ever put together is up on the site, and it is a collection of all of us charting our dream road trips for a minor league weekend, essentially a long weekend. If you want to hit a few games in a few days across the United States and Canada, as one of our writers chose the lone Canadian minor league team, and he may be the other dude on this podcast, and we're going to talk about it here in a second. But it's great because everybody got kind of creative with it, and people recommended the national parks that they would hit or the restaurants that they would go to or the historical sites that they would see. And it's just, I think everyone did such a good job with this, and I really love it, and it's up on the site right now. Sam had the best lead-in to his, which is we all chose kind of a region or a league or that type of thing to pattern our trip around. Sam's is a Northwest trip, and Sam's first sentence of why is, quote, "I've got plenty of flannel to pack."
I think that's just because I was looking at my closet. Yeah. And I'm just thinking, like, I've got a lot of flannel. What am I going to do with this? Especially now as we get to the summer months. Like, when am I going to wear this again? Oh, you know what? I'm going to go to the Northwest, and that's it. Not really. I mean, the reason I really did it was I've never been to the Northwest. I know, Tyler, you spent a good amount of time up there. I've never been. I've always wanted to go. I've always wanted to see, the Seattle area, the Puget Sound area. I've heard great things about going to Vancouver. Pitching this as a minor league road trip seemed like the perfect time. And also, you get to throw in Hillsborough, and you get the Portland area as well. It sounds like three great cities, three great places to go. And also there's a little bit of whiplash that it would be involved in my trip, going from Hillsborough, which is a Class A short season team, to Tacoma, which is a AAA team, to Everett and Vancouver, again Class A short season teams. Getting to see that wide width and breadth of minor league baseball would be really cool as a trip. And again, using up all this flannel that I could definitely go a week just only wearing that. So using up that, going to see Voodoo Donuts in Portland, these are all things on my checklist.
Who would have thought that this dude living in Brooklyn with his beard would also own a lot of flannel? Are you going to bring some homegrown coffee beans, Sam? You gonna do some weird interpretive artwork? I don't know. Is that a thing? I was on a good roll. I was on a good roll, and then I ruined it.
It sounded good. I can if you want me to.
No, I would gladly accompany you on that trip, though. That's one of my favorite places in the country. It's really cool to me to see which areas everyone chose, because I think a lot of them are just so different from where we live. Paige Schechter, who is one of our editors, Paige chose the Cal League, and Paige is works in the city, obviously, and lives in New Jersey, correct?
Yeah. No, she lives in Jersey.
So, an East Coaster, she would go to the Cal League, and one of the reasons that she points out is to visit 4 of the 5 California League teams that were mentioned on an episode of the TV show Life. And in the first season of that show, there's an episode called Farthingdale, in which detectives Damian Lewis, Sarah Shahi, hopefully I pronounced your last name right, Sarah, I'm sure you're an avid listener of this podcast, and their boss, Robin Wiegert, they solve a mystery based on 5 ball caps and 5 bottles of wine in the possession of a dead man living 2 lives. A mystery based on ball caps? How have I never heard of this show before? I am that detective. That's all you need. I would solve everything. But Paige picked California, which I thought was really cool. Darren Smith, our other fantastic editor, Darren picked a trip that kind of echoes a trip that he took as a kid, in which he traveled to Yellowstone with his mom. He took a road trip to Yellowstone with his mom, which I thought was super cool. So he would go to the Pioneer League and would travel around kind of the northern Rockies in the United States. Josh Jackson, who is a native East Coaster from Maine and now lives in Los Angeles. Josh picked an itinerary that he actually came up with a couple of years ago and sent to our good buddy Benjamin Hill in the Midwest League, in which Josh suggested that they essentially raft or kayak down the Mississippi to all of these different spots, which are like right on the river, which is a brilliant idea. But this is it's so cool. All of these are really neat, and they're very easily done when baseball gets back on its feet. You can do these trips in a long week. It doesn't even have to be a long weekend for most of these. You could hit these on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday if you really wanted to, if the schedule lines up right. But I just love this piece so much, and it's up on the site right now.
Yeah, and if anybody's ever been on any of these trips or wants to sign up for one once baseball gets going again, let us know and know how it went. I mean, I would love to do the Northwest Swing myself. Hopefully I'll get to do it soon. Tyler, you did like North Carolina, the Carolinas, which you've done as a Carolina leaguer in the past.
Yeah,
it
was kind of a cop out, but only because it's like, rather than trying a new restaurant, it's like going to your favorite place because you know how good it's going to be. So I picked a swing through, North Carolina and South Carolina, because North Carolina is really the cradle of minor league baseball. There's I think approximately 1,000 teams in North Carolina. And so I started off in Durham. I love the Raleigh-Durham area. I love Durham. The location of the Durham Bulls Athletic Park is great. The location of the DAP, the original home of the Bulls, the Durham Athletic Park is just a short drive away, and that's fantastic. Durham is a city that I know has changed a lot. I talked to people who, lived in Durham in the 80s and 90s, around the time that the movie was made and came out, and then when they built the new ballpark, and looking at it now, it's completely different. But it is an awesome place. I've been there for a couple of work trips for my other job over the last few years, for trips to Duke and North Carolina, and the area around the DBAP is great. Just the whole city of Durham I really like a lot. Then I said I was going to make a swing to my favorite stop in the minor leagues, which is Granger Stadium in Kinston, North Carolina, home now of the Down East Wood Ducks. I was thoroughly trolled today by the Carolina Mudcats for not realizing that Zebulon, North Carolina is right on the road between Durham and Kinston, so my apologies. When I was in the Carolina League, the Mudcats were not in the Carolina League. They were still a AA team at that time. They were in the Southern League. Now they have joined the Carolina League, but I didn't know. I had no idea where Zebulon was, so I'm sorry. So I've amended it to add Zebulon to my itinerary. But then Granger Stadium, home of the Wood Ducks, and then a swing down to Myrtle Beach, where I worked for 3 seasons as the radio guy for the Pelicans. You can't beat a beach town in minor league baseball, and plus I have had a craving for Bubba's Kickin' Chicken Sandwich from Dagwoods, which is like a 5-minute drive from the ballpark. I've had a craving for that for 9 years now since I last lived there. So this was all just driven by a sandwich that I want. that in King's Barbecue in Kinston. That's pretty much, I just wrote it based on things that I would like to eat in isolation now.
I mean, I shouted out Voodoo Donuts, which I've been to you in Denver,
true.
but I want to go to the one in Portland.
That was your first time, right?
That was my first time.
Yes. Yeah, when you were out here a couple of years ago, we went and bought like 17 donuts, ate all of them, but then we went on a hike. So I felt like we canceled it out, sort of.
I don't even need to cancel it out. I'm just good with it. Yeah, the taste and the flavor.
9,000 calories in a day. I think if you go on one hike, I think it cancels it out. It's like that old Mitch Hedberg bit, like wishing that you could eat something unhealthy and something healthy at the same time. And they travel down to your stomach like you'd eat a potato chip and a carrot, and they'd get there and the carrot would go, "It's cool, he's with me." That's us with a hike and 9 donuts apiece. That's a pretty healthy way to live. But that's a great story, and it's up on the site right now. We got some other really cool stuff that is up on the site already or is coming to the site. We will hear in just a little while from 2 of our writers, in Benjamin Hill and Kelsie Heneghan, and a lot more coming up on this week's episode of The Show Before the Show.
As an official partner of Minor League Baseball, Nationwide is here from life's first pitch to the 7th inning stretch. Whether you're looking for protection for your house, car, pet, or small business, Nationwide offers a wide range of products and support to make sure you're getting the right coverage for your specific needs. Visit nationwide.com for more information on how we can help take care of what you have today and plan for what's ahead. Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company, Columbus, Ohio.
We've been teasing something with Benjamin Hill for the last few weeks, and today we will finally get a chance to discuss it, but not yet, as we welcome Ben in. Hi, Ben. I know it's a big week.
It's a big week. Big days, big weeks, big months, big years. We're going big. This is 2020. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, we got that conversation coming up here in a little bit, but a couple pieces that Ben has up on the site that we want to highlight for this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. We're going to start with another story that we kind of touched on, I think, a little bit over the last couple of weeks. Minor league teams across the country obviously have been, like everyone else, forced to send their employees home to work from home for the last few weeks. And Ben got in touch with, or had a lot of front office staff members get in touch with him to talk about what life is like for them right now, trying to keep their work going and all that stuff from home during the pandemic. And a really interesting piece that's up on the site.
Yeah, I worked on that quite a bit over the last week or 10 days. Some of you may remember for many years, part of my winter meetings coverage was job seeker journals, where I'd recruit people who are looking for a job at the winter meetings to write about their experiences. And that basic premise is what informed this. I just kind of had the idea of like, I'd like to cover the industry during this point in a way that kind of highlights what people who work for minor league baseball teams are doing. I mean, obviously everyone is adjusting their routines right now, given the situation. But I wanted to, because it's MILB.com and we're writing about minor league baseball, I wanted to really shine a light on the employees themselves. So recruited a bunch of people, and we're going to be hearing kind of weekly installments from them. Some might, just do an entry or two and drop out, and then I'll replace them with someone else. But I think this is going to be a rolling thing for a little while, just trying to highlight how the industry is working, and got a bunch of different perspectives throughout the industry, from interns to general managers, just kind of what they're doing with their days. So check that out, MILB.com, which is the official site of minor league baseball.
And in this discussion, like you said, you have people who work in marketing, people who work in promos. The GM of the Jupiter Hammerheads is in here. Amongst that wide array of people that you got to chip in for this so far, what are the early themes you're seeing about how front offices are kind of overcoming this and not being at the ballpark every day? Here we sit, a week away from what should have been minor league opening day.
Yeah, I mean, I think the industry, just like everybody, is adjusting. I think in this first installment, it's a lot of people kind of saying, hey, I'm just getting used to this, or, here's some of my kind of boilerplate advice, the importance of setting routines and that kind of thing. And again, like with a lot of us, like, okay, well, one, being on Zoom calls quite a bit and, communicating with your staff that way. I think minor league baseball, more than in most industries, is collaborative, and you're kind of bouncing ideas or just collaborating in some way, shape, or form with coworkers all day. So, there's a lot of Zoom calls going on for sure. And there's also the time, to research best practices and to maybe, have some more longer term projects. It's kind of like, hey, we're not in this insane crush as we rush to opening day into several days. So it is time to take a breath, try to make the most of your time, research things that teams are doing, reaching out to your peers in the industry, just kind of maybe trying to get information that can fall through the cracks during an otherwise busy time to set yourself up as strong as you can for when you come back.
There is another great story on the site which actually went up today, and again, we're recording this on Thursday the 2nd, but Bruce Rogers, who was a super fan of the High Desert Mavericks, a team that ceased to exist a few years ago now, and a team that we didn't really talk about a ton back then. They were in kind of one of the difficult situations of minor league teams, ballpark-wise and setting-wise and all that, but you sort of forget with franchises like that there are people who truly loved those teams and loved them for a long time, and Bruce, who passed away in December, was that guy for High Desert. This is a really cool piece as well that's up on the site.
Yeah, thank you. This is a story that, we're all kind of casting about for different ways to do things and, fresh material. And, of course, I'm covering things, like what teams are doing during, this time period specifically and the front office journals. But it's also a good time to just kind of try to find things that just celebrate baseball or celebrate fandom or celebrate minor league baseball or what have you. So this is a story that came about simply because Shane Phillips, who now works for the Amarillo Sod Poodles, he got in touch with me. His career started in High Desert, and he said, "Hey, Ben, this guy, Bruce Rogers, I got to High Desert in 2015. It was February of 2015. The season was just a couple months away. The team had been kind of dysfunctional in the years preceding, my arrival and the arrival of a bunch of new employees along with new ownership. And so everyone's scrambling, and they're way behind on their calls to season ticket holders. And his first call is to this guy, Bruce Rogers, who was pretty pissed off at the team and didn't want anything to do with it because he hadn't liked how it operated. But Shane talked him into coming into the ballpark, said, hey, look, give it another try. They became friends. And the story kind of goes from there. It's about sort of the intensity of the fandom in minor league baseball, kind of a celebration of teams that are no longer with us, celebration of fans who are no longer with us. I talked to Bruce's wife, Sharon, who sang the national anthem all over California and at 12 different stadiums overall, and Bruce would manage her career. So it's kind of about a couple, their late in life passion for minor league baseball, their national anthem tours, the connections that Bruce had with a front office employee. It was a lot to synthesize. It took me a long time to write that story yesterday. I hope it's somewhat coherent. Yeah, I hope it's somewhat coherent. But I really did like the exercise of just taking someone, who's not going to naturally have a story written about him and use it as a way to celebrate minor league baseball, the people who work in minor league baseball, the fans, and the connections that arise in these front offices all over the country, and just what I think special and unique thing it is.
Yeah, and one of my favorite parts of this story was Shane Phillips telling this story, like you mentioned, of Bruce was the first person he called to talk about season tickets, but it wasn't just a call. Bruce, talked his ear off about this needs to change, this needs to change. But Shane reached out to him and said, all right, why don't you come to the ballpark and we can talk face to face. That seems so rare in almost any business transaction, but how much was High Desert even needing to go that extra level to bring guys like Bruce back and keep them in the fold even in the waning days?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a team that struggled in myriad ways. The ballpark, kind of rapidly deteriorated. The attendance went way down due to a greater, economic collapse in the region. And, sometimes the team was just in the midst of all that was not operated very well. So even though 2015 was the Mavericks' penultimate season, there's a lot of work to do to say, hey, we might not be long for this world. We don't know. But to try to reconnect with the community, to try to say, hey, things are going to be different now, to try to say we're going to put the best show we can, even in these trying circumstances. And that's something I've loved just in traveling all around minor league baseball, is often these teams that are a little down on their luck or really struggle with attendance or really struggle because of their ballpark have some of the most dedicated front office members and the most dedicated fans. So even though it's easy to say, like, oh, why would you go there? That place is a dump. No one goes there. Conversely, I feel like you find a lot of the best baseball people in those places because it's the people whose love for the game is so strong. They don't really need the proverbial bells and whistles. They're going to go just because it's baseball, because it's their hometown, and it's something they want to support. So I think it really does forge connections in that way. And I think that was particularly the case in High Desert. I know people who were there during the final years, as well as the people who were in Bakersfield, the other team in the Cal League that got contracted with the corresponding addition of 2 teams in the Carolina League. I know the people who worked with those teams in those markets truly loved it and will always miss it, even if they do understand, the reasons behind why those teams are no longer there.
Ben, one more thing. We did a story on the site this week, which and all of us as minor league writers outlined our ideal minor league road trip, a short kind of weekend-ish type of road trip. That's actually part of your job. The rest of us are kind of, oh, here's what I would like to do, and you get a chance to actually do that. And yours was a swing through Pennsylvania, which is a kind of a nostalgic journey for you being a Pennsylvania guy and touching on some of the roots of how you got into minor league baseball. Tell us about your road trip itinerary.
Yeah, that's something I mentioned in the write-up of this story is, I certainly love that my job has ballpark road trips as a part of it, and it's something I set out to do and I want to continue to do. But, as you guys know, as anyone knows in the context of their job, your job is your job. So when I go on a road trip, I'd love to do it, but it's very stressful and there's a lot of logistics to work out. And I have a lot of angst about, what I'm going to write about and, how I'm going to do it and, anxiety-laden dreams when I'm coming up on a road trip with how it's going to get done. And so my main point was, I don't think I'd ever really thought of this before, but for all the ballparks I've been to, I've never been on a road trip that was just as a fan where I was only beholden to myself and my own wants and needs and not the larger work context. And I was like, that's what I want. I want to go on a road trip as a fan. And if I'm going to do that, I want to reconnect with the teams and the area that was most important to young me as I became a baseball fan, minor league baseball fan. So I start in Scranton Wilkes-Barre. My first minor league game ever was the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Red Barons in 1989. That was their inaugural season. Now that team is the Rail Riders. They're a Yankees affiliate, but, wanted to start there as a homage to the first minor league team I ever saw. And then, the Scranton was a AAA Phillies affiliate at the time, and so from there I go to the Phillies' current affiliate. I grew up a Phillies fan, Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. Great ballpark, great food, great fans, and again fairly close to where I grew up and where I have a lot of memories. And from there, very short drive to Reading, one of my favorite of all ballpark environments. The mix of a classic ballpark, but a great front office, passionate fans, really good, quirky, irreverent, unique, strong energy. And so that was my little trip. And I'd love to do that sometime, just as a fan, just with my friends, and really put everything else aside and just, as corny as it sounds, just get right back into what made me love baseball in the first place, and to really jump into that kind of atmosphere.
All right, Ben. Well,
go ahead, Sam.
We can't let him go without asking about the thing you teased at the top.
Oh, right. Yeah. What am I doing? This is how you
let's just get it out there.
Buzz,
Ben
see?
finally watched The Sandlot.
I did. I watched the Sandlot. I can't even. It's not the Sandlot. It's the Sandlot. Sorry. Yes.
What did you decide on for the hashtag again?
The Sandwatch was the
Sandwatch.
hashtag.
Right.
The Sandwatch. I live tweeted the experience and got it under my belt after lots of poking and prodding and trolling and whatnot. I finally watched an iconic baseball movie I watched it on March 26th, what would have been a Major League Baseball opening day.
And
so,
your thoughts?
Oh, you wanted to know my opinions on it. Oh, well, I overthink things in life, and especially kind of live tweeting and feeling like I needed a strong opinion. I was overthinking the whole way. I had some issues with the larger format just because it seemed too familiar, like Stand By Me or The Wonder Years or Christmas Story, the kind of baby boomer era middle-aged man looking fondly back at his childhood. It just seemed like, oh boy, here we go again with this format. So I was a little, from the jump, just kind of a little bored by that format, but yeah, it was episodic. It was lighthearted. it was fun and it was funny, and it did have like a true love of baseball coursing through it at all times. So I completely understand how, if I was 10 years old, 9 years old, when I saw it for the first time, how I would have loved that movie. There's no doubt about it. As an adult, I was, I had some issues, and live tweeting it, I was just overthinking everything. And Squint's iconic scene at the pool where he passes out so Wendy makes out with him, I was like,
yeah, that does not age well.
Get Kent. I was like, Twitter loves this movie, but Twitter likes to cancel people for this kind of behavior. I was like, is Squint okay? That kind of thing. I was overthinking elements like that. I was certainly overthinking the appearance of the James Earl Jones character at the end, where he's like Babe Ruth's buddy, and he's like, but I didn't get to continue playing with Babe Ruth. And I'm thinking, like, yes, because you were black and you played in an era in which baseball wasn't integrated yet, and this is a great point to make. And he's just like, because I was blind. I was like, well, okay, you went blind, but we're sweeping a whole lot of other stuff under the rug right now.
Yeah.
Again, overthinking it, but that's how I am. So I was overthinking it. I was struggling with my overthoughts, and someone on Twitter right afterwards said, "Hey," he said just that. "You're overthinking it. This movie is about the love of baseball that you had as a kid and the joy of playing baseball with a friend." And I was just like, "Okay, man, deep breath. Just go with that. Just shh. It's okay." So, a lot of thoughts. I always have a lot of thoughts, but I liked it, and I'm glad I watched it.
Well, that's good. That's it ties a nice bow around it. And Benjamin Hill, you can go back and find those tweets if you would like at Ben's Biz on Twitter, and the stories are up on the site right now at milb.com as well. And Benjamin Hill, everybody. Ben, thanks, man, and I'm sure we'll find some other movie to assign you at some point soon. Yeah,
if you have any recommendations, let me know. And, geez, Tyler, we'll get into this some other time, but I saw via Twitter that you're watching The Sopranos right now for the first time.
I am. You
too.
are as well?
So.
Okay, because somebody responded and said, I think Ben just started that too. I have never watched The Sopranos before, and I just finished season 1. And it's, obviously very good. As a member of I think it was the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs front office responded to me, I just tweeted out and said, "Folks, The Sopranos is very good." And he said, "Nobody needs this tweet. We all know." So I'm late. I'm late to the game. But it is quite good, obviously. And how far into it are you?
I'm in season 5, about midway through season 5.
Oh, so you're
considerably ahead of you. But, I've been watching for a couple months. My brother's actually watching it for the first time, so we've been trying to, have Sopranos hangs. At first they were in real life, and we watched the final 3 episodes of a season together. Now we're doing some virtual Sopranos hangs. But, we're both working our way through season 5, and there's 6 seasons, or 7 maybe. There's 6A and 6B, however that works out. But anyway, it is an amazing show. I've had so many, you're only on season 1, I don't want to have any spoilers, but I've had so many moments where I just have to hit pause. And even if I'm watching alone, I look around like, whoa, did anybody else see that? That was amazing. Top notch acting, writing, just everything. It's like a beautiful, great American novel, turned into one of the best TV shows of all time. Big fan. I know we're a little late to the game, but hey, it's great because now we get to enjoy it now in the year 2020. We were smart because we're getting to have this experience now.
Right.
And if you watched Sopranos 20 years ago, you're probably jealous of us.
I got the ultimate compliment for a TV show, which is somebody responded to my tweet and said, "I'm so jealous that you're getting to watch it for the first time." Which is, when you love a show so much, that's like the thing that you wish you could do, is go back and experience it again for the first time. So that, I felt like that was just about as high of a recommendation as I could get on it. So I'm pumped. And no spoilers, but Bruce Willis was dead the whole time. Can you believe it? It just blows your mind, really, when you think about it. Benjamin Hill, again, on Twitter, at Ben's Biz, and the stuff is up on the site right now. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Sam, sitting not to my left or to my right, but with me in spirit.
As we have told you over the last few weeks, now that we are fully into quarantine season, we are going to continue along with being joined by writers from MILB.com and alerting you to some of the good stuff that we've got up on the site. And a great piece that went up to the site today on April 2nd is by Kelsie Heneghan, who wrote a story that you may be sort of kind of in the back of your mind familiar with, or you may have heard something about at some point. I know there is a brief mention, I believe, of it in Ken Burns Baseball, which is a topic du jour for a lot of people, the fact that we're all stuck around TVs and that is thankfully streaming places. But it is a story about former Chattanooga pitcher Jackie Mitchell, who Jackie, in the 1930s, she reportedly struck out Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth, and was kind of a phenom for a brief moment in a story that has probably not gotten quite the level of attention that it should throughout baseball history, and it is one of those really awesome historical footnotes almost to those two careers. And Kelsie, with a story up on the site right now, this had to have been a really cool one, obviously a really a big one to research, but a really cool one to get a chance to put together.
Yeah, I actually had never heard of it until last month. I was preparing for a baseball trivia at a bar, and so I was like, oh, let me just Google like some random baseball facts so that I'm prepared for whatever comes my way at this bar trivia, as one does. And I saw that the 17-year-old girl, Jackie Mitchell, struck out Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. So I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I saw that it happened on April 2nd. So I thought, well, the anniversary coming up, might as well look into it. So actually a few people had written books about it. Like, it's this thing that everyone either like knows a lot about or has never heard of it. So yeah, like you said, Jackie Mitchell, she signed a contract with Chattanooga, and she played an exhibition game with them against the Yankees, which apparently at the time that was really common for major league teams on their train ride home from spring training to stop at towns like Chattanooga and play an exhibition game. So at 17 years old, Jackie, who had some experience in semi-pro ball in men's leagues and women's leagues, came in relief and, struck out Babe Ruth on 4 pitches and then Lou Gehrig on 3 pitches. But then as I dug into the research more and talked to more people about it, I realized that people are pretty split on if Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth were involved and struck out on purpose or not.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think is interesting about what you touch on in the piece is we don't know. There is some video. There's actually a good video you include in there of Babe Ruth getting angry and like throwing his bat down and complaining to the umpire about a pitch. So we know a little bit about it, but we don't know the intentions. Nobody's quite on record, although Jackie seems to have thought that the guy's meant to strike out. I know you talked to Major League Baseball historian John Thorne about this, and he seems to think both were acting and going along with a gig. But in your writing and reporting about this, did you find that mattered? I mean, it's important. It would be great if she struck them out without them knowing. It would also be interesting if they were acting or playing into it. But the fact that there's this dichotomy, how much does that matter to the kind of legend of Jackie Mitchell?
I mean, it matters to an extent. Like, first thought, the cool part of it is that this, 17-year-old struck out major leaguers and potentially arguably the greatest major league batters of all time. And so if that was real, that definitely hypens it a little bit. But I think either way, it's important to still tell these stories. I mean, you don't really realize how many times women have faced major league players and professional male baseball players. We think about a league of their own and like the women's leagues that were separate. But this really was a part of our history. Lizzie Arlington in the 1800s pitched professional baseball. Like, there are a lot of these stories and these women who we should, learn more about and research and share their stories to continue on for the future.
One of the things that you point out in the early paragraphs in the story, Joe Engel, who was the owner of the Chattanooga Lookouts at the time, he signed Jackie Mitchell on March 28th of 1931. The game was originally scheduled for April 1st, and he was really known as one of the quotes in here is that he was the P.T. Barnum of the Bush Leagues because of what he was able to do promotionally. What did you learn about him? And obviously that's something that plays into a story like this, that an owner wanted some visibility from it. But how did Joe Engel contribute to this being an event?
Well, for starters, the game was originally supposed to be on April 1st, which is April Fool's Day. So that's part of why a lot of people think that it was a hoax. And, I guess that plays into either way, if it was real or not. At the time, a woman pitching against the Yankees was, I guess, a joke. apparently. But yeah, like as it says in the story, he did a lot of crazy things. Like one day, we talk about all these fun promotions that minor league teams had, but back in the day, Joe Engel gave away a house like with a car in the garage, like as a promotion at the game. He just wanted to do whatever wacky, crazy things he could to get fans to the game, which still lives on today.
All right, Kelsie. Well, we talked to Ben about this a little bit, but you also contributed to this piece that we did as a staff this week that seemed to do really well, and people were talking about it and got things going on the internet a little bit in terms of if you could plan an ideal minor league road trip for a weekend, 3 days, 4 days, what have you, where would you go? You picked Central New York with the Auburn Doubledays, Syracuse Mets, and Tri-City Valley Cats. What I like about your section was that it was kind of optimistic. You plan on going to the Hall of Fame induction this year with Derek Jeter and Larry Walker getting in. That would kind of be folded into this. But it seems like a really cool trip just for any baseball historian or any fan of the game to get some baseball in while also checking in at Cooperstown.
Yeah, like you said, my next scheduled baseball trip would have been, or is still, to go to Cooperstown for the Hall of Fame induction. I've never been. So I was just thinking about that. And then also just like that area, there are so many teams. I've recently been looking at a lot of minor league maps for a future project. But yeah, I just think it's interesting, especially in New York. They have, you can go from AAA to short season. They have all the different levels so you can see with just a quick drive. So I liked that you could go to Auburn, where they're named after the Doubledays for Abner Doubleday, who people say invented baseball in Cooperstown, New York. So it's continuing the history. And then in Syracuse, of course, that's where Tim Tebow will likely play when baseball resumes. So that's the biggest draw. I grew up a Florida Gators fan, so it's always cool to see him. And then, Tri-City, just another, team of the future at that lower level, just to, really any minor league park you go to, you can see potential superstars one day, which is just great.
Kelsie Heneghan on Twitter at Kelsie_Heneghan, and the story of Jackie Mitchell is up on the site right now at MILB.com, and a really cool piece. You can see the GIF of Babe Ruth striking out and turning around. I would not have wanted to be that umpire. You're like a Double-A dude in Chattanooga, and Babe Ruth freaks out and throws his bat down in front of you. That is not a job that I would. I probably wouldn't take that one.
Prepares you for the majors, no matter what position you play.
I guess that's true. That's a good point. Kelsie, thanks.
No, thank you.
Continuing on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show, we got a really great story and probably the timeliest of the content that we've had on the site as of late. And with it, we bring in our Michael Avallone, who had a piece up that ran earlier this week. We're recording on Thursday again, and this one went up on Monday. And it is in regards to former Los Angeles Dodgers / Seattle Mariners prospect Adam Law, who has a brother who is in the medical field, and right now a team of the Law brothers and their entire group of cohorts who are joining the fight against COVID-19. Michael, welcome back, buddy. This is such a fascinating story. Give us the rundown on this one.
First off, thanks for having me back. I appreciate it. It came to our attention. We saw a tweet. Our social media, Twitter universe is vast and expansive, and we saw, Adam Law, former Dodger Mariners prospect, had tweeted out about N95 masks, that they had the ability to ship them to people that need them. They're just trying to get the word out to people that do need them to be able to contact them so they can get them in the right hands. So, did a little digging and, got his information, asked if he'd want to speak with us to get the word out, and he was more than accommodating, and spoke with him for a little while actually about his brother who owns a dental supply company. So anything you see in dentist offices, orthodontic offices, they send out items all over the country, all over the world, and masks are something that they had anyway, but they've kind of focused on that now with the obvious need that's going on around the world.
And what exactly are they doing? It's one thing to just have these But what exactly are they doing to get these masks out and also spread the word of, hey, we have these, we know hospitals need them, nurses need them, doctors need them. What is the law family, I guess, doing with all those masks now in their possession?
They're just, like I said, one of the big things that, he was so eager to talk to us about was because it was something that could spread, the word. They can't just send masks, I guess, to anyone unless, they're spoken to about what they need in particular. They've been on Twitter, they've been on Facebook, and, on, old school communication, I think I mentioned in the article, by phone, by email. Anyone that needs it, they want to get in touch with them. They're getting their website out there. They just have a link or a hookup, I guess you could say, into the production companies for these masks. And they're under the contract with what company it was. I'm not sure if he said it. He told me. But the ability to distribute these masks to people all over the world. In the article I had mentioned, Adam had said that someone from Algeria, someone from Nigeria had contacted them. Huge bulk orders for hospitals, for doctors. He said even if someone ordered just a small amount because their family members or they themselves are in the healthcare profession that need some, they'd be willing to do it. They just want to, do their part. And because his brother owns a dental supply company that has the ability to get in touch with the people that make these masks, they can keep a constant supply going. Even then, it's still on the short end with it. The demand, I think, is something, that we can't even comprehend right now, no matter how much numbers you hear out there. The demand for these things all over the world right now is just so vast that, even they can't keep up no matter how much they can constantly get the flow moving. But they just want to keep that flow moving to just at least make a dent in some way.
Mike, one of the other things that kind of plays into this story right now, and it has changed since the story went up, but now there is a lot of talk that the CDC is going to be revising its guidelines to recommend that all Americans at this stage of the pandemic wear some type of mask, whether it is a disposable mask or a cloth mask or something like that. And that is because it's not really a change in the science. I mean, so often early on you heard, wearing a mask if you're not sick might not do anything for you. That's not the conversation anymore. The conversation now is a lot of people can carry the coronavirus, can carry COVID-19 and be asymptomatic, meaning they are not showing it. So that guideline would be in the event that you are somebody who has this, that is infected by it, but you don't know, then that would enable you, if you are wearing a mask, to hopefully contain that to yourself and not risk infecting people around you. If this is a circumstance where Adam and his brother in that company, if they can provide for the general public, is that something that that he sounded like they would be open to? I know he was very quick to point out, this is not about profit. This is not about business for us. Right. This is about trying to keep people healthy, and that maybe is a next step in this.
Absolutely. And they said they would distribute those masks to anyone that got on their website and ordered. Now, I mean, I'm not sure. From what I saw from the website, I don't think it's one of those websites because it's a supply, company. I don't think you can go on and order one mask. It's not like Amazon Prime or something like that for example, where you could just add one or two in your cart. But I also don't know. He had said, absolutely, anyone could go on there and order. Like I said, is it we've had people that have ordered and reached out to us that either are in the medical profession themselves, so they're ordering it for themselves and maybe their coworkers, or people that have family in the medical profession that they're trying to help get those masks to. I also do know from what I've read. Obviously, it's such an evolving situation, with this COVID-19 every day. But that if the CDC and the WHO do recommend masks being worn, I still think they may err on the side of don't, unless you're a medical professional, leave the N95 respirators, which are the specific masks we were talking about in the article, to the healthcare professionals that truly need them. For people that are kind of wandering around on the streets and stuff like that, as far as I've read, they were just saying anything, put on some type of mask, a mask that, there's a difference between like a surgical mask and an N95 respirator. Right. Cover yourself with a bandana or something. Just something like that even could help. But just to, kind of diverted there a little. But to answer your question directly, yeah, anyone you could go on and order, whether it's for themselves, for others, or for, their hospital or medical clinic, doesn't matter to them.
Yeah, I guess we should say what the name of the website is for anybody at home who knows somebody who could use this, whether it's, like Mike just mentioned, individuals or specific healthcare providers, healthcare workers. It's smilestreamsolutions.com. When we tweeted out about this story after it went live, Adam Law replied to it with the website. The company is mentioned in the story. We just want to get it out there. So if people have tweeted out to us that they are involved in the healthcare industry, they're trying to do all they can. If this company can be of any help to you, go visit SmileStream Solutions, get the Law Brothers to help you out, because this brings everybody in regardless of their field.
Yeah, it does. He actually, he text messaged me after the article ran, thanking me. And, as I've always said, when I do get thanks from anyone, for no matter what the story is, whether it's just about a baseball player, that in his personal life or his on-field stuff, I just tell him it's your story. We're just getting it out there. Obviously there's a little extra meaning behind this, and he texted me again yesterday saying that the reception has been fantastic, and that they're getting a lot of hits and clicks, and that's great, because all they want to do is help. And one side benefit is there's a lot of people in this world that band together at times like this, but there's also a lot of people that try and take advantage. And he said people have looked at the article and are using that as a basis to show that it's a legit situation and not just some scam that people are seeing online or something like that. So what we can do to help, we're all trying to play our part in trying to get through this situation.
That is really cool. And the story is up at the site at MILB.com. As we continue in the strangest and most random ways to cross paths with this from the baseball world, we're going to continue to try to highlight these things and bring you at least the way the baseball is doing its part to try to help fight coronavirus and COVID-19. Obviously, last week, Major League Baseball with the news that the former Majestic plant, which is now a Nike/Fanatics facility in Pennsylvania, has shifted its manufacturing from making player jerseys and uniforms to now masks and gowns for medical personnel. And there's so many of those things across the country right now, and it's scary and tough and unfortunate that we're in a circumstance where this is the case for so many of these companies. But to see so many of these companies now doing their part to join this fight and try to help bring this thing to heal is pretty incredible stuff. And just a great story from Michael, which is up on the site right now. And Michael, it's always good for us to talk to you, buddy, and hopefully as we continue doing these things over the next few weeks, we'll start talking about progressively lighter and better and more baseball related things.
Yeah, let's hope so. I appreciate you guys having me on, and stay safe, both of you.
You too, man.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Final segment of this week's episode of the show before the show. Tyler Mon, Sam Dykstra getting set to put the finishing touches on this week's dealio.
Yeah, so
what? I've never said that before.
The deal, we're trying to make things cool and hip.
We're trying to change the vibe. Something like that.
I feel like I should be snapping through this. Should I be doing slam poetry or something?
Oh man.
Anyway, so this is going to be a new segment that we're going to be doing going forward. It's called the Nationwide Prospect Profile, or we'll play with the name a little bit as we get deeper into it. But Nationwide is coming on, and we're doing a new segment with them, focus on some of the top prospects in the game. We're going to come to you each week, bringing you kind of a fun fact. I don't want to come to you guys and bring you something you don't know. So we're going to come with a fun fact about top prospects, something we've uncovered in the past week, something that hopefully is a little bit illuminating to you at home, something you didn't know before. So this week, for a new segment, we might as well start at the top. We're going to start out with a fun fact about Wander Franco. As many of you know, he was 18 years old for most of last year, just turned 19 the other day on March 1st. So I wanted to look back and find out what 18-year-olds were kind of in a similar situation to him last year. He went from Class A Bowling Green to Class A Advanced Charlotte. And this is what I found. In the last decade, so 2010 to 2019, only 8 players in their age 18 season got 200 plate appearances at the Class A advanced level. It's kind of a sign of normally 18-year-olds aren't pushed to full season ball to begin with, never mind to the second lowest level of full season ball, the step above Class A, I should say, at Class A advanced. So only 8 guys reached it. Those 8 guys are Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Mike Trout, Luis Garcia of the Washington Nationals organization, Wilmer Flores, Manny Machado, Igay Rosario, and Adalberto Mondesi. That's a pretty good group. Also, Wander Franco is in that group. Now, of that group, Wander Franco's WRC plus, and for those of you who don't know what WRC plus is, 100 is considered average. So Wander Franco's WRC plus at Class A Advanced Charlotte last year was 157, meaning he was 57% better than the league average hitter in the Florida State League. That's really good. That was second best among that group of 8. First best was Vladimir Guerrero Jr., as we all remember when he was up at Dunedin a couple of years ago. He absolutely torched the ball. He had a 179 WRC plus, But Wander Franco was a better hitter at high A than Mike Trout was at the same age. Mike Trout had a 117. That's 40 points lower than Wander Franco. Luis Garcia, who we all thought was a top 100 prospect. He's still a top 100 prospect after having a dip last year at AA, but he moved through the NAT system really quickly. He had a 112 WRC plus in his age 18 season. Wilmer Flores had a 112, same level there. Manny Machado, now we know him as a big free agent signing for the Padres, one of the best infielders in Orioles history. Manny Machado had a 96 WRC plus in his age 18 season in that Orioles system. So Wander Franco is already several steps above guys who we think as already top talents. How is he going to hold up on that? We saw what happened to Vlad Jr. when he made the majors, kind of took a step back, but still has all the potential in the world. But when we talk about Wander Franco having an 80 grade hit tool, this is a big reason why. He is doing things at his age and at certain levels that just are not done in the minor leagues. This is a really, really rare class and gives you sort of an idea of what Wander Franco is capable of as he continues to grow, as he continues to climb, and makes more adjustments going forward. But Wander Franco, already a really good hitter at high A. Can't wait to see what he does at AA Montgomery once this 2020 season begins. And that's going to be our nationwide prospect fun fact of the week.
Wrapping up this week's episode of the show before the show, and big thanks to everybody for joining us this week. Sam, with Toolshed rolling out, what's coming up for you next? I'm just doing this because I have a series that I want to tease, so I'm going to tee you up. I'm gonna be like, let me tell you about mine.
I was going to turn it around, don't you worry.
I'm very selfish that way.
Yeah, I mean, what I've been doing every Tuesday now is age lineups. Last week we did teenagers. This week was age 20 guys. So it's people who will be 20 before June 30th. That's when we talk about this is their age 20 season. That's how we define it, is June 30th. It's usually about the midpoint of any season. That's what Baseball Reference uses. That's what I use for this. Age 20 is really loaded. What I'm going to do going forward, last week I did only teenagers because you get into 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, some of the positions really fell apart. 20-year-olds was loaded. It was really difficult to find a position which didn't have a top 100 prospect who is going into his age 20 season. You talk about like Jared Kelnick, Tristan Cassis, Nolan Gorman, Bobby Witt Jr., who was old for his class, Brett Beatty, old for his class last year in the draft. It was really fun to fill out this lineup. And one thing I like doing about this too is I've given myself the challenge of what would the batting order look like. So I won't spoil it. Yeah, go check out the piece. But trying to figure out who I would bat leadoff in some of these positions, in some of these lineups going forward, is going to be really difficult. And also, particularly with this one, when you have Kelnick, Gorman, Cassis, Beatty, how does that sort itself out in the middle of a lineup was a little bit of a challenge for me as well. I won't spoil it. Go check out the piece. Go check out my rationalization. But this has been really fun to put together so far. We're doing age 21 next week, 22 after that, as far as we can conceivably go with prospects. So that's what I've got going. Tyler, I'm really actually excited for what you're doing starting next week, which is a little something different that we haven't done on the site before.
Yeah, so we, we're trying to be fun and have some ideas that are stuff that maybe we've thought about tackling before and haven't had a chance to, and now obviously have some time to be able to dive into subjects that we would like to investigate. And so for me, Obviously not surprisingly. There's a lot of logo and uniform ideas that I have. We so often get carried away with just talking about the newest stuff, the newest names, the newest rebrands and wacky logos and which swinging bat characters Brandy O's come with this time. And I instead wanted to turn it around and talk about teams that have actually had identities for a long period of time. So I so far have gone through and contacted the longest tenured nickname or moniker in every full season league. So, starting on Monday, I'll profile the kind of visual history of the Rochester Red Wings, who are the longest tenured, consistently used name in the International League. Toledo, obviously, a ton of history with the Toledo Mud Hens, but the current iteration of the Toledo Mud Hens have only been around since 1965. Rochester traces its name all the way back to 1928, which, if you can believe it, spoiler alert for the story on Monday, actually predates the Detroit Red Wings name. Detroit's team was initially called the Cougars. They rebranded, if you can apply that term, in 1932. To the Red Wings, in part to kind of try to curry favor with the motor industry in the Motor City, as you would imagine would be a successful business strategy. So Rochester came up with this name first. It was a unique name across all of professional sports at that time, and there's some really cool stuff that I got a chance to talk with Paul Bielovitz, who, man, Paul, I hope I did not butcher your last name, but who is one of the authorities on Rochester baseball history. Paul and I talked earlier today. I was like, yeah, we'll talk for 10, 15 minutes, and then 35 minutes later, I was like, I kept you for way longer than I anticipated. But a story that I'm excited about, and a series that I'm excited about, and hopefully it will carry us long past opening day. But as of right now, we're looking at probably a weekly thing for this, and teams have been really excited and really helpful with getting logos and history information and all that type of stuff to me, which I think is great when we have something that is a thing anyone can focus on that isn't just the way of the current world of all of us sitting around. If we all have projects, it feels so much better and so much lighter. So that's been kind of neat as well. So first one is coming up on Monday on Rochester.
Yeah, and what I love so much about this is I feel like anytime a team rebrands, we have to have them justify why they're doing it. Like, why are you getting rid of your old name? And they're like, oh, we want something fresh. And usually it just comes down to this is an opportunity to sell new merchandise and get new excitement behind a team. I feel like clubs, and we haven't had this happen really before, have to justify it more to not change and not jump in there. So starting with Rochester.
That was one of the interesting things I talked about with Paul was back in the 90s, the Red Wings they changed stadiums. And Paul said, I think at some point there was a thought of, well, do we change this name? But it's so historic and it's been for so long. And there's so much of an identity tied up in the history of that name that they decided not to do it. And obviously the Red Wings look now is a little bit more contemporary with Spikes, who is the anthropomorphic bird in the logo and is the mascot now as well. But really interesting to see a team that says, no, the value of what this name means to us as a historic entity is the thing that we're going to bank on rather than the opposite of that. So it's some really cool stuff, and I'm excited to put it together. So we'll get started with that one on Monday, and we'll kind of climb down the ranks from there. It'll go International League, Pacific Coast League, and then alphabetically through the leagues at each level. So the Eastern League will be the week after, and we should have some fun with it.
Yeah, and like you said, it seems like this is something that would take us to opening day normally, but hopefully this takes us well past that, and we're back to baseball well before then, before we have to talk about the Appy League.
Yeah. And we'll leave you on that note for this week. So big thanks to everybody who joined the show. And for Sam Dykstra, I'm Tyler Mon. We'll talk to you next week.
You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.